My name is Denise Scott. I'm 32 years old. And it took me 3 decades to understand something that should have been obvious. I was never truly a daughter in my own family. The moment it finally clicked happened 3 weeks before my wedding. I was standing in a bridal boutique in downtown Austin, holding a delicate ivory veil, staring at my reflection. For a brief second, I allowed myself to feel like every other bride, hopeful, excited, chosen. Then my phone rang. It was my mother. Her voice was calm, too calm. "Denise, your father and I won't be able to make it to the wedding." At first, I thought I misheard her. "What do you mean? It's the same weekend as your sister's birthday celebration. Logan's planning something big for her, and we can't miss it." Just like that. 32 years of trying to be enough, reduced to a scheduling conflict. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I didn't even raise my voice. I just stood there, veil in hand, and felt something inside me go completely still. 8 years of sending them $2,500 every single month. 8 years of saying yes. And it only took a 47-second phone call to destroy every illusion I had about what I meant to them. I ended the call, set my phone down, and made a decision I should have made years ago. Before we go any further, take a moment to subscribe, but only if you believe you deserve to be chosen, not overlooked. And tell me, where are you listening from? What time is it there right now? This is a fictional story, inspired by real family situations, with some AI-enhanced details to make the emotions feel more real, and to understand why that 47-second call changed everything. You need to understand what my life looked like long before that moment. I grew up in a quiet suburb outside Charlotte, North Carolina. In a modest 2-story house my mother loved to present as perfect to anyone who visited. My younger sister, Vanessa, had the bedroom facing the backyard, sunlight pouring in every morning. Soft curtains, everything carefully decorated. I got the small room near the laundry area, where the hum of the dryer never really stopped. That pretty much summed up our roles. From as early as I can remember, my mother had a way of introducing us that always felt off. "This is Vanessa, my daughter," she'd say, with a proud smile, resting her hand gently on her shoulder. Then, after a pause, like she almost forgot, "And this is Denise, Vanessa's older sister, not her daughter, just someone connected to Vanessa, like my identity only existed in relation to her." By the time I was 14, I had already started working part-time at a small neighborhood cafe, saving up just to buy my own school supplies. Vanessa never worked a single day. She didn't have to. My parents bought her new clothes every season, upgraded her phone the moment a new model came out, gave her everything she asked for without hesitation. I wore secondhand clothes from relatives and learned how to make $10 stretch like it was 100. At 16, after 6 months of early shifts and late nights, I bought my first car, a used Honda Civic with faded paint and an engine that sounded like it was always on the verge of giving up. I loved that car, because every scratch, every dent, I had earned. While other kids were celebrating birthdays with friends, I was behind a counter frosting cakes for strangers. 2 years later, when Vanessa graduated high school, my parents surprised her with a brand new BMW, white leather seats, 0 miles. She deserves it. My mother said when she caught me looking, "She worked so hard." Vanessa had barely passed with a 2.9 GPA. I graduated with a 3.8, while working nearly 25 hours a week. I didn't hate her. I just hated what I had come to understand in my family. Love wasn't unconditional, it was transactional. And somehow, I was always the one paying the price. The real damage didn't begin until I was 24. I had just graduated from a small community college in North Carolina with a degree in restaurant management. It wasn't something my family would brag about, but I had earned it while working full-time as a line cook. I got a steady job at a hotel kitchen in Charlotte. For the first time. I had a reliable paycheck. For the first time. I could almost see what independence might feel like. Then my phone rang. "Denise, it's urgent." My mother's voice carried that familiar tension. "Your father lost his job. We're behind on the mortgage. We need $3,000. $3,000. I didn't have it. But I had a credit card with a $5,000 limit that I had been saving for emergencies. This was an emergency. Right. My parents could lose their home, so I didn't hesitate. I maxed out my card and sent the money that same day. "Thank you, sweetheart." My mother said, "We knew we could count on you." For the next 3 months, I lived on instant noodles and cheap coffee. I picked up extra shifts until my feet ached and my hands cracked from constant work. Slowly, I paid off that debt. At the same time, my parents posted photos online of seafood dinners and weekend outings. Vanessa shared spa selfies with my mother like nothing had happened. I told myself it was temporary. They were struggling. Family helps family. But looking back, that moment wasn't just help. It was a test. And I passed it too well. Because after that, the emergencies never stopped. What I didn't realize then was that I had stepped into a role I couldn't escape. For the next 8 years, I would be the one funding everything. At 28, I met Daniel Brooks at a company holiday party. By then, I had worked my way up to a sous chef position at a respected restaurant downtown. I had built something for myself from nothing. And still, every month, I sent money home. $2,500. Like a bill I couldn't cancel. Daniel was different. Quiet. Thoughtful. And the kind of person who actually listened. He didn't try to impress anyone, but when he looked at me, he saw me. Not what I could give. Just me. 3 months into dating, he noticed something no one else had. "Denise, why are you sending so much money to your parents every month?" He was helping me organize my finances, building a spreadsheet like it was second nature. "This is more than most people pay for rent," he said gently. I froze. No one had ever asked me that, because if I don't, I'm a bad daughter. I admitted. He didn't judge me. He didn't argue. "What if we track it?" he suggested. "Every dollar you've sent them, just so you can see it clearly." That night, we built a spreadsheet, dates, amounts, reasons, car repairs, Vanessa's expenses, medical bills, mortgage help. Again and again, the total kept rising. Higher than I expected. Higher than I wanted to face. "You're not a bad daughter," Daniel said softly. "Love isn't supposed to feel like a debt you can never repay." That spreadsheet became more than numbers. It became the truth I had avoided for years, long before all of that. I had a dream. I wanted to open a bakery. That dream came from my grandmother, Margaret Hale. Her small cottage always smelled like cinnamon and butter. Her kitchen felt warm, safe, like a different world from the one I grew up in. She taught me everything: how to knead dough, how to wait for the perfect moment, how to create something beautiful with my own hands. "You have a gift, Denise," she used to say. "You can bring something sweet into a world that isn't always kind." She passed away when I was 19. She didn't leave me money. She left me her recipes. And a small locket I still wear every day. Back then, I didn't understand. But now I do. She gave me the only inheritance that truly mattered. The dream never left me. By 29, I had started taking custom cake orders on weekends. Wedding cakes, birthday cakes, detailed designs that took hours to perfect. After long shifts, I stayed up late, carefully decorating, fixing every small detail no one else would notice. Every dollar I made, I saved quietly, carefully. I pictured a small bakery one day, a simple storefront with my name on it, something that belonged to me. When I told my mother, she laughed. A bakery, Denise. Be realistic. She shook her head like I had said something ridiculous. Do you know how many businesses fail in the first year? You have a stable job? Why would you throw that away from the couch? Vanessa barely looked up. You're really going to sell cupcakes for a living? That's cute. Cute. That word stayed with me. My father said nothing. He never did. That Christmas made everything clear. Vanessa opened a set of expensive golf clubs. For networking, my mother said proudly. I got a store gift card. No questions about my plans. No interest in what I was building. No belief in my future. It wasn't subtle. My dreams didn't matter. Only what I could give them did. But I kept saving. Some dreams are too important to let other people destroy. The first time I met Daniel's parents, I didn't know families could feel like that. He drove me to their home outside Raleigh, a quiet neighborhood lined with trees. Their house wasn't big, but it felt warm, lived in, real. His mother, Laura, opened the door with a smile and pulled me into a hug. You must be Denise. Daniel's told us so much about you. Come in. The table was set, candles lit. Everything felt intentional. His father, Michael, greeted me with a firm handshake. So, Denise, he said, passing me bread. Daniel says you're a great chef. What do you enjoy making most? I paused. No one had ever asked me that before. Not once. Pastry, I said. I want to open a bakery one day. Laura's face lit up. That's wonderful. Michael nodded. I work in real estate. When you're ready, I can help you find a space. I just stared at him. He had known me less than an hour, and already supported a dream my own family had dismissed. On the drive home, I started crying. Daniel glanced over. Hey, what's wrong? Nothing, I said softly. I just didn't know it could feel like that. Like what? Like being wanted, without having to earn it. That night, something changed inside me for the first time. I saw what had been missing all along, and I made a promise. If I ever had my own family, they would never have to earn love. A few months later, Vanessa got engaged. Everything escalated. She met Ethan Cole at a rooftop bar in Charlotte. He was polished, confident, the type who made sure everyone noticed his success. Within 6 months, they were engaged. Within 7, my phone rang. Denise, my mother said, already impatient. We need to talk about the wedding budget. I closed my eyes. I already knew. You need to contribute. How much? A brief pause. Then she said it like it was nothing. $15,000? That's your share. I almost dropped the phone. My share, Mom. I'm trying to build my own future. Your future? She laughed. That sharp sound I knew too well. Vanessa is getting married. This is her moment. You can think about yourself next year. I've been saving for years. I said, I'm trying to open my bakery. You can do that anytime. She replied, your sister only gets married once. Everything in me wanted to say no. I knew it was wrong. Then she started crying. Loud, dramatic, familiar. How can you be so selfish? She gasped. Do you want to embarrass me in front of Ethan's family? They're wealthy. We need to make a good impression. And just like that, I gave in. I sent $10,000. Everything I had saved. Gone. Vanessa's wedding was held at a luxury country club outside Charlotte. It was extravagant in every way. Designer dress, live band, decorations worth more than my yearly salary. I stood beside her in a pale pink bridesmaid dress my mother had chosen. Nothing too noticeable. She had said, "Of course." No one thanked me. At the reception, I overheard my mother speaking to Ethan's parents. "We're proud of both our daughters," she said, then softer. "But Vanessa has always been special." I smiled, kept moving, pretended it didn't matter, but it did. 2 years later, when it was my turn, I would finally understand how much. Daniel proposed on a quiet evening in April. He took me to my grandmother's old garden. The house was gone, but the herbs still grew. Lavender, rosemary, thyme. He knelt in the damp grass, holding a ring, not a diamond, a sapphire, from my grandmother's locket. Reset into something new. I said yes before he finished. That night, I called my mother. "I'm engaged," I said, smiling. A pause. "Engaged to Daniel, the computer guy. He's a software engineer," I said. "And his family is wonderful. But are they well established?" she asked. "What kind of wedding can they afford?" My chest tightened. I didn't call to discuss money. I called to tell you I'm getting married. Another pause. "Well, at least he has a stable job." That was it. No congratulations. Later, Vanessa texted, "You're getting married before our 2-year anniversary." That's kind of tacky. I stared at my phone. Daniel found me. They didn't take it well. They didn't take it at all. I said, "They just evaluated it." He pulled me close. "Then we'll celebrate with people who care." He said, "The signs were clear, but hope is stubborn." I still believed they would show up. 6 months before the wedding, I signed the lease for a small bakery in Raleigh. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I named it Sweet Dawn Bakery, a name that came from a dream. My grandmother, standing in warm light, smiling as she pulled fresh cinnamon rolls from the oven. The space felt exactly like the dream I had carried for years. Warm light through the windows. A small kitchen that could be transformed into something beautiful. Something mine. It was Michael Brooks who found it during one of his property searches. "The rent is manageable," he said, sliding the paperwork across his dining table. "And the previous tenant left the ovens. You'll just need to bring in your own equipment." Laura Brooks smiled and placed something carefully in my hands. A vintage cake stand. "I found it at an estate sale," she said softly. "For good luck." I held it like it was something fragile, something meaningful. Because it was, even then, I was still sending my parents $2,500 every month, even as I struggled to cover deposits, rent, equipment, everything. I was stretched so thin I could feel it, like one more demand would break me. But I didn't stop. Not yet. Because family was family, even when it didn't feel like it. When I showed my mother photos of the bakery space, she barely reacted. She squinted at her phone. "It's small," she said. "Are you sure you'll get enough customers? I have to start somewhere," I replied. "I just don't want you wasting money," she continued. "Vanessa has been talking about opening a nail salon. Maybe you could help her with that instead." I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. A week later, I was sitting at Daniel's parents' house, going through business paperwork, tax forms, expenses, bank statements. Michael paused when he saw them. 8 years of transfers, month after month, $2,500, and then the larger amounts. Emergencies. Requests. The total was overwhelming. He didn't react right away. He just looked at me, not with judgment, but with something heavier. "You've done more than enough." Denise, he said quietly. More than anyone could expect. I didn't realize then how much that moment would matter, that someone had finally seen everything. 2 months before the wedding, I sent out the invitations. I designed them myself. Simple cream cardstock with a small pressed lavender detail, inspired by Laura's Garden, June 15th, Denise Scott, and Daniel Brooks. I didn't mail my parents' invitation. I brought it to them in person. I thought maybe, if they saw me, if they held it, something would change. Some reaction, some sign that this mattered. My mother looked at the card, then frowned. June 15th. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her calendar. That's close to Vanessa's birthday. She said, "You know she turns 28 on the 17th. I know when her birthday is?" I replied, "The wedding is on the 15th. She placed the invitation on the counter. "We might already have plans." Vanessa walked into the kitchen, grabbed something from the fridge, and glanced at the card. "Oh, your wedding," she said casually. "Ethan wants to take a trip that weekend. I'll try to make it." But no promises. In the living room, my father sat watching golf. He didn't look up. Not once. On the drive home, I called Daniel. They didn't commit. I said quietly, "They said they might have plans for our wedding." There was a pause. "For your wedding," he repeated softly. Then, after a moment, "Denise, maybe it's time to accept that your family isn't capable of giving you what you need." "They'll come," I said quickly. I needed to believe that, when the day comes, they'll be there. And if they're not, I didn't answer, because I couldn't imagine it. My parents choosing not to come to my wedding. It felt impossible, too cruel, too unreal. 6 weeks later, I learned exactly how real it was. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon in late May. I was standing in a bridal boutique in downtown Raleigh, surrounded by mirrors reflecting me from every angle. The dress was ivory silk, soft and elegant, with delicate beading along the neckline. It was simple, but it was everything I had ever imagined as a little girl watching wedding scenes on TV, wondering what it would feel like to walk down the aisle with someone proud to stand beside me. My phone vibrated in my hand. "Mom." "Hi." "Mom," I said, forcing a light tone. "I'm actually at my final fitting right now. Denise, I need to tell you something." Her voice was flat, too calm, like she was reading off a grocery list. "Your father and I won't be able to make it to the wedding." Everything around me went quiet. The consultant adjusting the hem of my dress paused and looked up, her expression shifting instantly. "What do you mean? You won't be able to make it. June 15th is Vanessa's birthday weekend." My mother said. "Ethan is hosting a party for her on the 15th. It works better for their schedule. We can't miss it." I tightened my grip on the phone. "Her birthday is the 17th. My wedding is on the 15th. "Sweetheart," she replied, almost impatient. "Your sister only has one birthday a year. You could have chosen a different date." I looked up at my reflection. A bride, standing there in a wedding dress, phone pressed to her ear, watching her world quietly fall apart. "You're choosing Vanessa's birthday party over my wedding." "Don't be dramatic," she said. "You know how important this is for her. Ethan's colleagues will be there. It's good for their future. I'm your daughter too." "Of course you are," she said quickly. Then, without hesitation, "But Vanessa needs us more right now. You've always been independent. You'll be fine." 47 seconds. That was the length of the call. I checked afterward. 47 seconds to erase 32 years of hoping that one day I would matter just as much. "I understand," I said quietly. "Goodbye, Mom." I ended the call. The consultant stepped closer. Are you okay? I looked at myself one more time. A bride. Standing alone. No parents. No family waiting at the end of the aisle. And in that moment, something inside me changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, just permanently. I'm fine, I said, and I finished the fitting, paid the remaining balance, walked out into the sunlight like nothing had happened. When I got home, Daniel was already there. How was the fitting, he asked, smiling. Then he saw my face. Denise. What happened? I told him everything. Every word my mother said. Every sentence that felt like it carved something out of me. He didn't get angry. He didn't raise his voice. He just walked over and pulled me into his arms. What do you want to do? He asked softly. I don't know, I said at first. Then I pulled back and looked at him. No, that's not true. I did know. If you believe my parents were right to choose my sister's birthday over my wedding, comment right. But if you feel that choice was unfair and hurtful, comment not support. Sometimes the hardest part isn't what people do, it's realizing where you truly stand in their life. I want to hear what you would have felt in my place. That night, after dinner, I sat alone at the kitchen table. The room was dark, except for the glow of my phone. I opened my banking app, scrolled down to the recurring transfers, $2,500, scheduled every month, sent to my parents. 8 years, $247,500. I knew the number by heart. Daniel and I had calculated it together months ago. It was enough for a house, enough for a future, enough for everything I had postponed for them. And in return, they couldn't even show up for one day. My finger hovered over the screen. You don't have to decide tonight, Daniel said quietly from the doorway. Yes, I do. I looked up at him. If I wait until tomorrow, I'll start making excuses. I'll tell myself they might change their minds. That maybe I'm overreacting. I paused. I'm not overreacting. Am I? He shook his head. No, you're not. I looked back at the screen, took a breath, and pressed cancel. Then confirm. The page refreshed. The recurring transfer disappeared. Just gone. Like it had never been there. I didn't call them. I didn't explain. I didn't argue. For the first time in 8 years, I simply stopped giving, and I waited to see if anyone would notice me without the money. They noticed, just not in the way I once dreamed they would. On June 15th, I married the love of my life in the backyard of Michael and Laura Brooks' home. 87 people gathered under soft string lights and white roses. The air was warm, the sky clear. A gentle breeze moving through the garden like everything had aligned perfectly for that moment. It felt like a beginning. Daniel's colleagues stood beside my coworkers from the restaurant. Friends from high school laughed with customers who had become regulars at Sweet Dawn Bakery, which had been open for 3 months by then. From my side of the family, there was only one person, my aunt, Linda, my mother's younger sister. The one they had pushed away years ago because she refused to lend them money. She drove 4 hours just to be there. I wouldn't have missed this for anything, she said, holding me tightly. Your grandmother would be so proud of you. Laura helped me get ready. She didn't try to replace my mother. She didn't pretend to be something she wasn't. She just stood beside me, quietly filling the space that had been left empty, adjusting my veil, gently wiping away the tears I tried not to let fall. You're not losing anything today, she whispered softly. You're gaining everything you deserve. Michael walked me down the aisle. He had offered the day before. Without pressure. Without expectation. Only if you want me to. He had said, but when I took his arm, I felt something I had never felt before. stability, care, choice. And I knew I had made the right decision. I baked my own wedding cake. Lemon lavender. My grandmother's recipe. It wasn't traditional, but neither was anything about that day. Everything had been built from scratch, by people who chose to be there. That night, Daniel and I danced under the stars, and for the first time in years, I felt something unfamiliar. Peace. The absence of my parents still hurt. It probably always would. But the presence of the people around me filled a space I didn't even know had been empty for so long. If you've ever felt like the only one missing from a family photo, you understand. Sometimes the people who show up become more family than the ones you were born into. If that resonates with you, you'll know exactly what I mean. 2 weeks after our honeymoon, my phone rang. I was at the bakery, carefully frosting a 3-tier cake for an anniversary order when my mother's name appeared on the screen. For a second, I considered ignoring it, but something made me answer. "Denise," she said immediately, her tone sharp and impatient. "There must be a problem with your bank. The transfer didn't come through this month. There's no mistake." "Mom." A pause. "What do you mean?" "I mean I stopped it. I'm not sending money anymore." Silence. I could picture her standing in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, trying to process something she had never expected. "You stopped," she said finally. "Denise, you can't just stop. We depend on that money. I know you have bills." I replied. "I've been paying them for 8 years." "Exactly," she snapped. "So you understand how important this is?" "I understand," I said quietly, "that you chose Vanessa's birthday party over my wedding. I understand that after $247,000, I wasn't worth one afternoon." Another silence. Then her voice turned sharp. "So this is revenge. You're punishing us." "No," I said. "This is me choosing my own life. Daniel and I are building something. I have a business. I can't keep supporting people who only see me as money." "How dare you?" she said. "I'm not asking for permission. I'm informing you of a change." Her tone dropped, cold and threatening. "Denise Scott, you will regret this. Family is forever. When you need us, we won't be there." I almost laughed. "Goodbye, Mom." I ended the call and went back to frosting the cake. My hands shook, but my heart didn't. The guilt came quickly. Within 48 hours, my father called first. "Denise, your mother hasn't eaten in 2 days." He said, "You're breaking her heart. She broke mine first." I replied, "That's not the same. We're your parents. We sacrificed everything for you." I took a breath. "Did you, Dad? Or did I?" He had no answer. Then came Vanessa's messages, rapid, angry. "How could you be so cruel? They raised you. You're selfish. Not everyone makes as much as you." I didn't reply. The only voice that made sense was Aunt Linda. She called me asking for money. Linda said one night while I closed the bakery, "First time in 5 years." "What did you say? The same as before?" "Not my problem." I leaned against the counter. "Did she mention me?" "Oh yes." Linda said, "You're ungrateful. Heartless. You abandoned them." She paused. "Denise, she did the same thing to your grandmother. Took everything. Then blamed her for not giving more. The pattern had always been there. I just hadn't wanted to see it." That night, I lay awake beside Daniel. "Am I being cruel?" I whispered. "No." He said, "You're being free." But freedom wasn't easy. The doubts came at night. Am I selfish? Am I wrong? Will I regret this one night? I sat on the kitchen floor, phone in my hand. My finger hovered over my mother's contact. One call could fix everything. But what was I fixing? A life where I gave everything and received nothing. A life where I only mattered when I paid. That wasn't love. That was a transaction. And for the first time in my life, I chose to stop paying. Come back to bed, Daniel said softly, sitting beside me on the cold kitchen floor. I keep thinking I should fix it, I whispered. Send the money again. Make them happy. He looked at me carefully. Would that make you happy? The question stayed in the air. I didn't answer. That Sunday, we had dinner at Michael and Laura Brooks' house. I barely touched my food, pushing it around my plate while everyone else talked. After dinner, Laura gently took my hand. You're carrying something heavy, she said. I can see it. I'm fine. I replied. You don't have to be, she said softly. And you're allowed to protect yourself from people who hurt you, even if they're family. Loving yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. Michael stepped forward, his voice calm. I saw your bank statements months ago, he said, when we were reviewing the bakery documents. I looked up. $247,000. He continued. You gave them everything, and they still didn't show up for you. He held my gaze. You didn't fail them, Denise. They failed you. Something inside me loosened. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. I wasn't a bad daughter. I was someone who had finally stopped paying for love that was never real. Months passed, and slowly, my life began to grow into something new. Sweet Dawn Bakery started to thrive. A local food blogger featured us, calling it a hidden gem in Raleigh. Orders doubled, then tripled. I hired 2 part-time employees, Mia and Jordan. The bakery became more than a business. It became a place people came to feel something warm. Regular customers knew each other by name. Kids stopped by after school for free cookies. Cakes were booked weeks in advance. And then, one morning in April, everything changed again. 2 pink lines. I stared at the test, not breathing. Denise, Daniel said from the doorway. I turned the test toward him. For a second, he just stared. Then he laughed. Then he cried. Then he picked me up and spun me around. We're having a baby, he kept saying. We're having a baby. When we told Laura, she cried too. Michael made jokes about teaching the baby business skills before kindergarten. For the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to be celebrated, not for what I gave, just for being me. My parents stayed silent. No calls, no messages. I thought maybe they had moved on. Maybe Vanessa had stepped in for once. I was wrong. Denise, Aunt Linda said during one of our calls, her tone serious. You should know. Your mother has been asking everyone for money. My stomach tightened. What happened? Vanessa convinced them to invest in something. She said, a guaranteed opportunity her husband introduced. She paused. It's gone. All of it. I felt a quiet shift in my chest. Something was coming. I just didn't know yet that it would find me next. It was some kind of cryptocurrency scheme mixed with multi-level marketing, promising fast returns and easy money. $80,000. Gone in 3 months. Ethan's cousin ran it. Aunt Linda said over the phone. It was a Ponzi scheme. He disappeared. Vanessa and Ethan are getting divorced. I sat down on the bench outside my bakery. The phone pressed against my ear. And my parents. They relied on your money for years, she said. Without it, they can't cover the mortgage. They're already 3 months behind. The bank sent a notice. I should have felt something. Relief, satisfaction, justice. But I didn't. I just felt tired. They might lose the house. I said quietly, unless someone saves them. Linda replied. My phone buzzed. A message. Vanessa. for the first time in months. "Hey sis, can we talk? I know things haven't been great, but family is family, right? Maybe we can meet for coffee." I stared at the screen. 8 months of silence. Skipping my wedding. Years of treating me like I only existed when they needed something. "Family is family," I typed back. "I'm busy with the bakery. What do you need?" The reply came instantly. "Nothing specific. Just want to reconnect. Mom says your business is doing really well. That's amazing. Maybe you could help us figure out some financial stuff too." There it was. The real reason, hidden behind polite words. I didn't answer. Instead, that weekend, I prepared. I spread 8 years of my life across the kitchen table. Bank statements, every transfer, every emergency. The spreadsheet Daniel and I had built. Now complete. $247,500. Every dollar highlighted. Every date recorded. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked. Placing coffee beside me, making sure I remember everything. I said, "If they ask for money, I want facts, not feelings. You think they'll come?" I looked at the papers. "They've run out of options." I said, "I'm the last one left." He sat beside me. "And what will you say I don't know yet?" I admitted, "But I won't let them twist this. I won't let them turn me into the villain." Beside the document sat something else. My ultrasound. 12 weeks. A tiny life. Already stronger than anything I had known growing up. I picked it up, holding it next to the numbers. "This is what I'm protecting now," I said softly. "My child will never have to earn love. Never be compared. Never feel like they're not enough." Daniel placed his hand over mine. "Whatever happens," he said, "we face it together." I nodded and gathered everything into a folder. The storm was coming. I could feel it. But this time, I was ready. Months later, the 1-year anniversary of Sweet Dawn Bakery arrived. We decorated the space with warm autumn lights and falling leaves. The display cases were full of seasonal desserts: cinnamon rolls, pecan tarts, apple donuts. A local magazine had confirmed they were coming to feature the bakery. By noon, the place was full. Laughter, conversation, life. And then the door opened. The bakery was alive that afternoon. Every table was full. Laughter, conversation. The soft clink of cups and plates filled the space. It was everything I had dreamed of. Warm, real, mine. Michael and Laura arrived with flowers and champagne. Daniel moved easily through the crowd, greeting customers, making everyone feel welcome. I was behind the counter boxing a cake when the bell above the door rang. I looked up, and everything changed. My mother walked in first. Rigid posture, controlled expression. My father followed, uneasy. And behind them, Vanessa. She looked different, tired. The confidence she once carried was gone. The room quieted. Not completely, but enough. People noticed. They always do. My mother walked straight toward me. "Denise." Her voice cut through the room. "We need to talk. About family." Daniel stepped beside me. Laura moved closer. Michael stood quietly nearby. "This isn't the time," I said. "When is the time?" she snapped. "You ignore calls, messages, but you have time for all of this." Every eye was on us. I took a breath. "Fine. Let's talk." She didn't lower her voice. "You abandoned us. Your own family. After everything we've done for you." Daniel's hand rested on my back. Steady. "Mom, do you even know what we're going through?" She continued. "We might lose our home, and you're here celebrating like we don't exist." Vanessa stepped forward. "She's right. You have a successful business but won't help your own family. What kind of daughter does that? I looked at her, then at my mother. What kind of daughter? I repeated quietly. Good question. I reached under the counter and pulled out a folder. You came here for money, I said. So let's talk about that. I opened it, spread the pages out. 8 years. I said. Every transfer, every emergency. My mother's expression shifted. Do you want the total silence? $247,000? The number settled heavily in the air. Vanessa stared. My father looked down. Every month. I continued. 2,500. Sometimes more. 10,000 for Vanessa's wedding. 8,000 for Dad's medical bills that turned into a golf trip. I pointed at one page. June 15th. My wedding day. Do you see anything? No one spoke. No gift. No call. No presents. I looked at my mother. You didn't come. You chose a birthday party that wasn't even on her birthday. A quiet gasp came from the crowd. I closed the folder. So no, I said calmly. I didn't abandon the family. The family abandoned me. I just stopped pretending. Vanessa shook her head. You're making this about money. This is about love. Is it? I asked. When was the last time you called me just to talk? Not to ask for something. Silence. I placed a hand over my stomach. I'm pregnant. The room shifted again, and my child will never have to question if they're loved. I glanced at Laura. They already have a grandmother who shows up. My mother's voice cracked. Denise, you can't do this. She wasn't hurt. She was embarrassed. People were watching. No, I said. You embarrassed yourselves. I'm just telling the truth. I gathered the papers, looked at them one last time. This is what happens now. I said. You leave. You stop calling. You stop asking for money. My voice was steady. For the first time. I'm choosing my life. My husband. My child. My father stepped forward. Denise. We made mistakes. Mistakes, I said. Forgetting a call is a mistake. Missing a wedding is a choice. Daniel took my hand. Laura stood beside me. Michael behind us. My real family. This bakery is called Sweet Dawn. I said quietly, because my grandmother taught me I could build something good, even from something broken. I met my mother's eyes. I did that. Without you. Then I nodded toward the door. You need to leave. The room went silent, and no one moved. For a moment. No one moved. My mother's face shifted rapidly. Shock. Anger. And something close to shame flickering across her expression. My father stood frozen beside her, unable to look at me. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears, though I couldn't tell if they came from regret or wounded pride. Then a voice broke the silence. Excuse me. It was one of my regular customers, Mrs. Carter, a retired teacher who had been coming to the bakery every Saturday since we opened. She stood slowly, her voice steady but firm. I've been coming here for a year, she said, looking directly at my mother. Denise remembers my husband's name. She asks about his health. She sets aside his favorite pastry even when it sells out. The room grew quieter. Last month, I couldn't afford a birthday cake for my grandson, she continued. She made one anyway and refused to take my money. She gestured toward the folder on the counter. That woman gave you nearly $250,000, and you couldn't even show up to her wedding. Her voice trembled, but not with weakness, with anger. You should be ashamed. A murmur spread through the bakery. Heads nodded. Someone whispered. Unbelievable. My mother's composure cracked. She grabbed my father's arm. We're leaving. We don't need to be humiliated like this. You humiliated yourselves, Mrs. Carter replied calmly. All she did was tell the truth. Vanessa hesitated. She looked at me, confused, like she was seeing everything for the first time, like consequences had never occurred to her before. Vanessa, I said quietly, goodbye. She swallowed, then turned and followed them out. The bell rang as the door closed behind them, and just like that, 32 years of trying to earn their love ended. Laura wrapped her arms around me. Daniel pressed a soft kiss to my temple. Mrs. Carter returned to her seat, satisfied. The bakery slowly returned to life. Conversations resumed. Laughter followed. The celebration continued. Later that afternoon, a local reporter approached me, notebook in hand. I came to write about women-owned businesses, she said carefully. But that was something else. Do you want me to leave it out? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to hide, but a bigger part of me was tired of staying invisible. Write what you saw, I said. But understand this isn't about revenge. It's about building something worth protecting. She nodded. That evening, as the crowd thinned, Daniel swept the floor while I wiped down the tables. Laura and Michael insisted on washing dishes. That's what family does, Laura said simply. I paused. Watching them, this was my family now. Not by blood, but by choice, by presence. Later, as we locked up, Daniel pulled me close under the soft glow of the lights. How do you feel? He asked. I thought about everything. The confrontation, the truth, the weight I had carried for years. Light, I said finally. Like I've been holding something heavy for so long, I forgot what it felt like to stand straight. He smiled softly. You didn't win anything. I know, I said. I looked back at the bakery, but I didn't lose either. I exhaled slowly. I just stopped playing a game I was never meant to win. 3 months later, I heard what happened. They sold the house. Aunt Linda told me, below market value. They were desperate. I listened quietly. They're renting now. Small place. Vanessa moved back in. Ethan's gone. The divorce is messy. I imagined it. The life my mother had spent years trying to maintain. Gone. Your mom sent you an email, Linda added. I saw it, 3 pages. No apology. Just blame. I forwarded it to a lawyer. Just in case. What should I tell her if she asks about you? Linda asked. I thought for a moment. Tell her I'm happy, I said. And if she asks for money? I almost smiled. Tell her the account is permanently closed. That winter, Daniel and I hosted Christmas dinner. 10 people. Laughter. Warmth. No tension. No expectations. Some absences hurt. Others make room for peace. Months later, I stood in the kitchen of Sweet Dawn Bakery, holding my daughter in my arms. She was 7 weeks old. Tiny. Perfect. And for the first time in my life, I understood what love truly felt like. Not something earned, not something negotiated, just given. Everything I had ever wanted was finally right in front of me, not handed to me, not given out of obligation, but built, slowly, carefully, brick by brick, day by day, batch by batch. One night, I sat in the living room, gently rocking my daughter, Lily Brooks, as she drifted in and out of sleep against my chest. Her tiny fingers curled and uncurled, her breathing soft and steady. And in that quiet moment, I made her a promise. You will never have to wonder if you are loved. You will never feel like a burden. Your worth will never be measured in money, in favors, or in what you can give. You will be loved simply because you exist. Nothing more, nothing less. She yawned, relaxed completely, and fell asleep in my arms. Outside, the evening light faded into gold. For the first time, It truly felt like a new beginning. Later that night, after we put Lily to bed, Daniel and I sat on the back porch. The air was calm, the garden quiet. "Do you have any regrets?" he asked. The question caught me off guard, not because I hadn't thought about it, but because I realized I needed a moment to answer honestly. "I regret the time," I said slowly. 8 years of hoping they would change. 8 years of trying to earn something that was never going to be given. I paused. But not the ending. Never the ending. A few months after everything happened, I started therapy. It was Daniel's idea at first, and Laura encouraged it too. At first, I resisted. Then I realized how much I needed it. It helped me untangle everything I had been carrying for years. The guilt, the confusion, the belief that I had somehow been the problem. I began to understand something simple but powerful. Their inability to love me properly was never about me. It was about them. One afternoon, I wrote a letter, not to send, just for myself. "Dear Denise, at 24, I know you're about to send money to people who won't thank you. I know you believe this will finally make you enough. It won't. You are not responsible for buying love that should be given freely. You are not selfish for having needs. And the family you are searching for is not the one you were born into. It's the one you will build. Start sooner, trust sooner, and forgive yourself for taking so long to understand what you deserve. Love. Denise, at 33. I kept that letter in my desk, right next to Lily's ultrasound and the documents for Sweet Dawn Bakery. Proof that endings can also be beginnings, that sometimes losing something is actually freedom. About a year after the confrontation at the bakery, a letter arrived. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting instantly. My father. I almost threw it away, but I didn't. "Denise, I know I don't deserve to write to you. Your mother doesn't know about this." I read his letter 3 times. He admitted he should have come, should have spoken, but chose silence because it was easier. He said he wasn't asking for forgiveness or money, only that he was proud of me and sorry. I cried. Not from pain, but from truth. I didn't reply. Maybe someday. I realized my mother wasn't evil, just shaped by fear, and my father's silence had its own weight. It didn't excuse anything, but it explained it. And I finally understood this understanding isn't forgiveness. And knowing the difference changes everything. I used to believe love had to be earned, that if I gave enough, sacrificed enough, I would finally be chosen. But this journey taught me something different. Love should never feel like a transaction. The moment I stopped sending money, set boundaries, and chose to build my own family instead of chasing approval, my life truly began. It wasn't easy, and it still hurts sometimes. But peace is worth more than acceptance that comes with conditions. If you were in my place, choosing yourself, your future, and your peace, instead of continuing to give to people who never valued you, right, good job, so I know I made the right choice. If you would choose differently, write no. And if you're still thinking about it, write time. Your voice matters here. Your story matters. If this touched something in you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. You're not just watching, you're part of a community that understands, supports, and grows together.